Bomba-dee-da, 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 bomba-dee-da,
Who's got your money?
Hey, happy
All
trails.
right, all
Happy
right.
trails this morning. Here we are.
Hey,
What
everybody.
up? What up?
I know this says Merry Christmas,
Hey, Merry Christmas
but it
in
should say
January.
Happy Trails.
Right, we only got 11 months till Christmas.
I love Christmas.
Ugh.
You know who doesn't
times.
love Christmas that I figured out? It's taken me a long time. My wife.
No?
My wife. No, she's
What?
not a Christmas girl. No.
She's got all sorts of cute little decorations.
Yeah, she puts the decorations up, but then they come down as soon as Christmas is done. I'm like, hang out,
Well, that
let's
doesn't surprise
chill.
me.
Yeah, let's
She's
chill.
like, let's go. Get shit done. Gotta get shit done.
I'm saying, hey, let's enjoy it, a little bit longer. But I always say around Christmas time, I tell her, I call her the Grinch.
Yeah,
That's terrible. You know why? Because she
acts like one.
No, well, but she has a Grinch heart. It's 2 sizes too small. You know what I mean? Because Anne doesn't like to exchange gifts and stuff. She doesn't want to do gifts.
Oh.
So she gets pissed off because I'm always buying gifts. I buy her gifts. She goes, "We talked about this." And I said, "No, you talked about this. I told you what I was doing. You can pretend to be Scrooge or Grinch or whoever, but I buy gifts at Christmas." Okay.
Oh man.
Happy trails, everybody.
Happy trails, everybody.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing out there? I know
doing great.
We got more listeners. We got some more viewers. It's great. Had a couple of people walk up to me at a dental event and said, "I've been listening to the podcast. It's awesome." And I'm like, "Are you listening to our podcast?"
Well, we know ours is awesome.
We know it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
You just got to get everybody else to understand that.
Yes. So if you're out there, understand it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just understand it.
Tell everybody else about it. Share it. Tell them how entertaining we are.
That's right.
It's like, you can always listen to stuff like this on all sorts of podcasts, but those are boring.
They're boring. Those guys are boring.
Entertaining. We are entertaining.
Like our friend Noel. Dude, he's boring. Noel, you're boring. I'm just kidding, dude. You're awesome. I love listening to you guys' stuff. Your stuff is great. I love it.
His stuff's pretty good.
It is good.
Yeah.
And if you're not, well, I'm not going to promote his website right here.
Why not?
I just almost did it.
No, he's good.
No, he is good. Passive income, right? Doctors, passive income.
That's what we're about. That's what we're trying to work for.
That's right.
Towards. So, and we got some chat today about, kind of just going over what you need to think about. Again, more things you need to think about to invest. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go, but are you? So we're going to talk about, make sure you got your ducks in a row, not scattered ducks. We want them in a row.
Yeah. Why do ducks fly in a row, though? You ever thought about that?
It's aerodynamics.
Do they know this?
It's mostly geese.
Do they
have
go
the
to
big
school
V
for this?
No, that's instinct, dude.
Instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Just like
goose instinct.
Just like this is instinct, whether you should get involved or not. That's instinct as well.
Wow.
You see that segue that I did right there?
Wow. Yep.
Pretty cool. Huh?
I think you should get involved.
It is early in the morning.
Yeah.
So Blaine and I were talking, and like we said last time, we've kind of gone through a lot of stuff through the course of the last year. So now we've got more listeners that are coming on, and they're newbies. So we don't want to skip all the newbies, but we don't want to bore the people that have been with us for a year. So this is a great time for you out there that have heard some of this stuff that, maybe you can get some people involved and teach them as well. So it's a great way to kind of hone your skills and hone your education as well. But we thought, what better time than right now, seeing as how it's the beginning of the year, the rates seem to be changing. Blaine and I have talked about that, how it looks like it's getting better and it's going to get better. And we think that by the summer and by the end of the year, it's just going to be crazy time to buy all kinds of properties. There's going to be stuff going up for sale everywhere. If that's the case, then what does it take for a new investor to get involved? Because I know there's people out there watching and listening thinking, I do want to get involved, but what does it really take? What does it take to get involved? Because it sounds good. And I know we need money, right? They need money, Blaine?
That helps. That's kind
Money
of
helps.
key. That's kind of key. So that's
Money
one of
helps.
the things we kind of we're going to roll through here is you got to have some cash available if you're going to
Yeah.
invest. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. And some people, I mean, you can still listen to our podcast and be thoroughly entertained and educated. Maybe you don't have the cash now. Maybe it'll be next year.
Yeah.
Or the year after.
Yeah.
But education, man. And we talked last week about repetition. Second law of learning.
It
You
is the
got it.
second law of learning.
So we'll go over things over and over and over again. You'll hear us say things over and over again, and that's okay because you hear it all a bunch of times and it sticks with you. You hear it once. I mean, I'm sure most of these podcasts you lose about 80 or 90% of what you heard. I mean, ours is, I think the statistics show that ours people only lose about half because of the entertainment factor. So they retain more when you listen to Happy Trails than other podcasts, but we're still going to repeat things.
Yeah. Studies show. I mean, studies show that the Happy Trails podcast does not only leave entertained, but educational value that stays with you 73.6% greater than if you did not listen to it.
Right. That's a great study. I'm so glad that came out last week. So
these studies are amazing. I mean, I'm just so enthralled with them, but so let's talk about, so obviously, Blaine, the first thing you need to have is money, but what does that mean? I mean, I got money, you got money, everybody has some money, right?
Sure.
So what kind of money are we really talking about to get involved in something like this?
When you're talking multifamily syndication, and that's what we're into. I mean, there's a lot of ways to invest in real estate, and one of the kind of rather amazing loans came out from agency loans, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae. Recently was, I think, a 3% down loan if you're going to buy a house and flip it, a single family. And so you can get into that for really inexpensive.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Obviously, if you're doing that, your loan payment's going to be really high. Okay. So you can get into single family homes for very little, but again, that's a different story and a different day.
Different day. Not
so if you're looking at multifamily syndications, there's a couple ways of doing it. I mean, our syndications typically are 80 units or above. And so, you're looking at multi-million-dollar deals. There's probably going to be anywhere from 20 to 50 people invested in one of these. The minimum that I've seen is $50,000 to get involved. I know that is starting to creep up in some groups, and that depends on your sponsor. And some sponsors who are really good capital raisers will probably set that at 100,000 minimum. Mm-hmm. And so, again, that kind of depends on the deal and who the sponsor is. Obviously, if you have fewer investors, it's easier to manage. So if you have a long history, Grant Cardone-ish, and you can raise capital really fast and easily to, you're like, I need $40 million for this deal, and people knock on the door and the next day you have it. Well, you can up that, right? You can go 100, 200,000 minimum, and that minimizes the number of investors, which makes things a little simpler on the management side.
Cardone's stuff's really interesting. Ann and I have been involved with Cardone's for several years now, and if they're putting together a fund that'll buy and purchase multiple locations throughout till it's gone, they'll take anything. The boys are invested in Cardone Capital at one point, and they each put in, I think, $5,000, which is a big deal to them. You know what I mean? They're in school. They don't have money. They've saved money, so getting rid of their $5,000 was a big deal. Then they'll run a property that will be at an event, and they'll run a property, and the minimum to come in is $250. Like you can't even get in the door without $250, or sometimes
250,
250,000. Yeah. Or sometimes even 500,000. So they're looking for lots of money with a tight group of investors. And I think that brings up a really good point, because the more investors there are into the deal, it just becomes a little bit more challenging, paperwork wise, distribution wise, dealing with personalities, like you said. Everybody's got a different personality, and even the passive investors want to get involved as much as they can. And, sometimes you got to realize that as a passive investor, the word passive is really meant to be passive.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't learn and
No, you
from
should
issues. So,
absolutely.
so most of my deals that I'm a passive investor in, they'll send out some stuff, and again, I'm kind of nerdy that way. No, it's shocking, but
He is.
I'll go through the whole thing, look at the numbers, and go, hey, why is this way? And then I have questions, and so I'm like, so I'll send a question out and go, I noticed that this was taken off the income statement, and da 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 da. Why was that? And blah, blah, whatever. So, I'm asking questions. If I am, there's probably other people asking questions. So if you have 1,000 investors, you're going to get a lot of questions, as opposed to if you have 20 investors, you may not get quite as many. So yeah, I mean,
Odds are
odds
statistics.
statistics show. So, there's some, depending on who the deal sponsor is, or the GPs, is another name for that.
General partners.
Yep. You can, it varies from, like I said, I think the minimum now is about 50,000 for most of these. So,
Yeah, I think so.
Where can you get some of that money? Where can you get that cash if you don't have it sitting in your checking account? Which,
Well,
a lot of people don't, including myself. I don't
Yeah.
have it sitting in my checking account.
Yeah, I think one of the things when you're putting money is you have to have some kind of liquidity. So, and that might not mean that you have money sitting in the account like Blaine or I or most people. I don't just have 50 grand just sitting there to grab it anytime I want. I've got to move money around to get to that money. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making money on the money that's sitting in the bank, right? So another place you could grab some money would be an IRA, right?
Yes.
You've got some different types of IRAs that you can pull from and fund from. I'll tell you, here's a tip. Did you know that you can borrow from most IRAs up to $100,000, well, $50,000 per person? And if you and your spouse, or you and your partner, or someone else is involved, you can borrow up to $100,000, because it's 50 a piece. And you can use that money to leverage and pay yourself back over time. Did you know that you could do that?
I did know that.
That's
That was
legit.
one of the things I was going to say. Yeah, self-directed IRAs,
Self-directed IRAs.
which is different than a non-self-directed IRA.
Yes.
I know that's shocking. There's for everybody out there.
It is.
But self-directed IRAs you can invest your money in whatever you want, because it's self-directed, as opposed to having somebody else direct it for you. And then you can put your money into real estate if you want. It still stays within the capsule of the IRA, so you can't like pull it out or whatever, but you can say, I want to invest this in this real estate. And then once the real estate cycles and turns and sells, then that money goes back into your IRA. And it
It's
stays
protected.
in there. Yes, there you go.
Not taxed
Right.
until
Withdrawal.
until you remove the money.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a taxable event.
So yeah. And then that borrowing thing, I thought I didn't know that until, I don't know, last year sometime when I was learning. I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, that's one of the cool things. I didn't either. So, and I didn't even really know about self-directed IRAs, because I'm just sitting here thinking my money is spread out in the market, and where do I grab money? I know that I have lots of money out there that's doing nothing, if not losing money. So this is when Blaine and I decided, after listening to some of what we had learned in the ecosystem of Brad Sumrock and other people, as we started to dive a little deeper into this, is there's money there. Why can't we use it? Why can't we direct the money? Because these people are losing money for us right now. So why can't I take control of the money and make money? So that's what we did. And Tom Wheelwright is one of the CPAs that's written several books. He works with Brad. He works with Robert Kiyosaki. And that's one of the guys that I first heard at one of the events. And I'm thinking, wow, I knew nothing about this. So you're absolutely right. And learning those things along the way is what frees up money. So I'm almost positive there's people out there that have investments that could pull money from the investments and don't even know it.
Yeah.
So you're looking to get into a deal. You think you can find 50,000 or 100,000? I bet you can. And I bet it's somewhere locked up that you just don't think that you can.
Here's another tidbit I learned a while ago. If you have, a lot of people have whole life insurance policies. Okay. I have a little bit of both. I have some term and some whole life. You can borrow money out of your whole life policy and invest it in whatever you want. And then you just have to pay yourself back, right? And technically there's interest on it, but you're paying the interest to yourself.
Mm.
I mean, so it's like sitting there and it's gaining, of course, it's supposed to be gaining value in wherever it sits on that whole life policy, but you can borrow against that I mean, that if you're as old as we are and you started this policy 30 years ago, there's probably some cash in there.
Probably enough to get started.
Yeah.
Probably enough to get started.
You can also call your parents. Go, hey, hey guys.
I was gonna say there's other options. You call your relatives.
Hey, call your own. Hey, can I borrow money? I need some cash to invest in a real estate deal.
And a good
And that
line,
may or may work.
a good line to use in that case would be, hey, remember when I mowed the lawn like way
Yeah.
back? I don't think I got paid for that.
Right.
So how do you feel about fronting me, $50K?
Hey, you know what, Dad? We had 2 driveways. Everybody else had to freaking shovel one driveway. At our house in Dysart, we had 2 driveways that we had to shovel.
That's because they were
I mean,
loaded. 2
oof,
driveways.
crazy. What's up with that?
Who's
they were
got your money?
They were gravel. They were like large gravel. So you'd shovel and you'd get rocks and stuff all over it. It wasn't till Blair and I left that he
That they-
paved them. They
that he paved it?
concreted them and made them easier. It's like, come on.
There was a reason.
Yeah.
There was a
Whatever.
reason.
Anyway.
It builds character, Blaine.
Yeah.
And
It does.
you and your brothers have a lot of character.
Yeah, we do.
Your
You know it.
characters. Your
You
characters.
got it. You got it.
Are you listening to me, brothers McLaughlin?
Yeah. Yes, brothers. You better be listening.
So yeah, so those are great ways to get money. Because that unknown of where am I going to get money? I mean, I hear this all the time. Matt, I listen to your podcast and I want to get involved, but how do I do that? Well, I don't know. Do you have any liquidity? Do you have any funds? Well, I don't have that kind of money sitting around. Well, I don't either. So
Right.
you've got to dig and find and scrap and search, because I believe there's a point in time, just like Blaine and I, where the losses that we're suffering in the market, that somebody else is controlling the money. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I'm not going to allow somebody to lose my money. I'll lose my money. How about that? But I don't
Yeah.
think the syndications that we're getting involved in, and we're involved in several now, and involved in several other forms of little real estate along the way, they're not losing money. Matter of fact, I think we're being set up for a prime time sale here once the rates return, and I think we're going to be sitting pretty for all of them. I don't know about you, but I love the trend that's happening. So
Yeah. It's heading in the right direction for our time.
why did we get
Well-
involved in this in the first place?
Why?
Yeah.
Because my retirement plan made a whole 3% over the last 20 some years. That was the average return on my whole retirement plan, 3%. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. There's got to be something else out there. I'm not working till I'm 80. And
You
So-
only got a few more years. I mean,
yeah, just a couple. So yeah, maybe will work till I'm 80. I'm not working full time till I'm 80.
that's
Dang
good.
it. There you
good
go.
point.
Maybe I'll work one day a week.
I'd like that.
Anybody have me work one day a week? Would you hire me for one day a week?
I'll hire you.
Is that a plan?
Sure.
I'm-
I'll hire you.
Retire out in South Carolina?
Yeah. Come on.
Where it rains for 18 straight days?
Rating.
Yeah. I heard
terrible.
something like this. It's been raining for 14 straight days or something like that.
I don't
there.
know. It's
I'm like,
beautiful South
"What?"
Carolina. Come check it out. Great.
It's like been raining like about 6 straight days here too.
Mm,
But at least that's not ice, because it could be ice.
true.
Anyway,
True.
so that was actually, we did have a you talk about the usual buyout, or how much to buy in. We had a question last week. Somebody was asking me, hey, what's it cost to get involved in something like this? And so that, that kind of led into why we're talking today about this. But
I've seen, like I said, I've seen 50 at the lowest, but I think that trend is going up. I'm seeing 75 as the entry.
yeah, seen 75 a lot, and I had some
Yes.
people talk about we might go to 100 just because it minimizes the investors. So
And I think at that point, it depends on the GPs, the general partners, and really how many LPs, how many limited partners do they really want to take on? I mean, I think that's why they segregate and separate that way.
yeah,
But I don't know. I think there's something to this, Blaine, that when we do our first deal, I really want the people that are listening to be able to get involved. So if that meant that we bring it down to 50, then I would. I might even consider lower, because I think the objective is to get people exposed to some wins. And I don't know, man. I feel like we got some great windfalls coming up, and I'm really excited for the opportunity, because I know that the opportunity in the market just is, maybe it's looking up in some places. I have friends that are like, well, the market's doing pretty good, and I'm like, yeah, over time it hasn't done too good for me. So I just like the control and the fact that we can move the money how we want to move it. So,
right on. Yeah, exactly.
well, you got a deal that came across your desk too this week, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Actually, it wasn't this week, it was yesterday. And so I've just kind of started looking at it, and um we're gonna go into the back of the napkin. If you guys remember that. And we're gonna run some numbers here.
Well, we got people
And
that are with us that never heard that before. So, Blaine, what is the napkin test?
well, that was the original deal that Brad Sumrock did sometime years ago. He's like, literally, I was in this bar and we're talking to this guy, and I grab a napkin and start writing some numbers down. And so it's your just quick bam, bam, bam. Is this thing worth looking into?
Yeah.
And it takes just a few minutes to do. That way, if you're like, hey, this is right online. Maybe I should look closer at this and see what's going on.
And that's not always the tell all. I mean, obviously there's things that are involved, fees and whatnot that get involved in a deal. But I think if you're going to sit and potentially just do a quick analysis of, do we want to get involved in this deal or not? Do we want to pursue it? Do we want more information? The napkin test is a great way to do that. And we're going to walk you guys through, once again, like we did last year. We're going to walk through napkin test real quick. Blaine got this deal that came across his desk yesterday, and it's one of those that we don't know what the whisper price is.
No,
The whisper
but
price. What's the whisper price? Tell them what that is.
whisper price is basically, so typically when they put these deals out, they're like, hey, this one is 146 units as a excuse me. So actually on the OM, it says 146 units built in 1969. On the loan term guide, it says 154 units. So that's interesting. Because there's those are different numbers.
Yeah, those would be different.
I'm guessing the OM is probably correct. But
Probably.
yeah, it was built in 69 in Arlington, Texas. And so they don't tell you, they don't say, like, when you sell your house, you're like, I'm put this on the market for 350,000, 349,900, $349,000. And everybody goes to Zillow and realtor.com or whatever, you're looking up houses, and you see the price. Well, they don't do that in multifamily real estate syndications. When they're selling these, they're like, here's the offering. And you're like, well, how much you want for it? And so you can ask the broker. That's one way I think they want communication, or they know you're somewhat interested, is you're like, hey, yeah, I'm interested in this. What's the whisper price on that? And that's basically kind of they're like, oh, well, they're looking to get about $18 million out of this. And so they give you kind of a general round number of what what they're asking for the specific deal. So
So they don't really they don't whisper it to you.
they probably could. It depends if you're next to them.
Depends on the setting.
The setting. Are they, if they're hanging out and with their family and they're like, I don't want these other people to know this. And they're probably like, hey, I'm gonna whisper 18 million. But I guess you're supposed to keep that on the lowdown,
Yeah,
I don't
think
know.
that's why they call it the whisper price.
So the other way of getting that, one other way of getting that is a term sheet. And you're like, Matt's going to be like, well, Blaine, what's a term sheet?
That's a term
So,
sheet.
so this, like I said, this deal came to me yesterday. So you got to fill out a confidential agreement and that kind of stuff. So I put my name and email and phone number on there and said, yep, I agree to not tell anybody what this place is that isn't involved. So that's why I'm not telling you the name of it. I can tell you it's 146 units built in 69 in Arlington, Texas. That doesn't narrow it down because there's 100 billion apartment complexes in Arlington.
There is.
So, and that's why we're not screen sharing this. Otherwise, that would be not. Anyway, so you have to fill this out and then they send you, here they send you into what can be called the deal room. And the deal room has marketing documents. And then typically it'll have the OM, the offering memorandum, which is just your overview of everything. This one's got financials, a T12. And so that's all your income and expenses over the last 12 months. And so that you can see trends on that. This has a financing guide. Oh, and you're like,
I think that's interesting.
Financing guide. And you get these sometimes. Sometimes you have to ask for them. Sometimes they just come with it. So this financing guide came with, and it kind of gives you a rundown of different types of loans, who they're through, what you can get, what the terms are. And so you can get a general idea. Well, now if they're telling you, we're going to loan you this much money and the maximum LTV loan to value is 75%. Well, then you just kind of do the math. You're like, oh, that comes out to be so much. So that's a round number. That's kind of a general asking price of what they're looking for. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that. We're going to use that financial guide on and do some numbers, and then we'll run the back of the napkin. All right. Sound good?
Sounds great to me.
So, I'm, like I said, 146 units. And, the loan, they're looking at about a $13 million loan, on here. They have 4 different types of financing. They have 3 Fannie Mae loans. They're all 75% LTV. That means they will loan you 75% of the total price that you pay. One is a 10-year, one's a 7-year, and one's a 5-year loan. And so you're like, what's the difference here? And why is one better than the other? Well, if your 5-year loan, if you have a 5-year loan and you're looking to sell in 3 to 5 years, then at year 5, you have to get out of there, right?
Yep.
So you're like, so if your 5-year loan is up right now in your deal, and now's not the greatest time to sell if you don't have to. If you don't have to, people aren't selling now. They're getting out because they have to, because their loan's up, and they're like, man, I had a 3.5% loan. Now, if I try to refinance this, it's at 7%. Well, that doesn't work cash flow wise. It's not fun. So they got to get out. So maybe, I'm looking at, hey, if I want to get out in 3 to 5 years, maybe the 7 or 10-year loans, maybe a little more advantageous, right? Because it just, it gives you flexibility at the end. If you have some issues in the market, in 5 years, well, you don't have to sell. You can continue to roll with it. And so, now, oddly enough, the interest rate on the 10-year loan says it's 5.92%. So that's actually pretty good. That's some of the best I've seen in a year.
Yeah.
A fixed Fannie Mae loan. So we got 5.92, we got 6.12, and 6.29 for the different loans. So those are all
They're all not bad.
pretty darn close. Then and it tells you your debt service is, 773,000, 782, and 790. So you're looking at a difference in these three loans of looks like $18,000 a month in interest. And so, yeah, but I find it interesting that the 10-year is the lowest one as opposed to the 5-year. So I don't know why I would go with the 5-year over the 10 on this. Anyway, so that's something I'm sure somebody has some reason.
So let's run that napkin.
So you're looking at $13 million on the loan and a 75% LTV. So I'm going to take 13 million. I'm going to divide by 0.75. And that comes out to be 17,333,000. All right. So that's just kind of I would say the general asking price would be between 17 and 18 million, going through my OM to get average.
And guys, the OM, remember, is the basically the operation memorandum. This is the sales pack that they put together that comes out that shows you the property. It gives some stats. It's basically the brochure that entices you to look at this property. Is what it is.
So according to the OM, the average rent right now is $12.99 per unit. Okay. And that's a mix of efficiencies, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms.
Wow.
Right.
That seems high.
That seems pretty high. That's the current
for Arlington, Texas, in a building that was built in 69.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the current, they say that's a current market rent. That doesn't mean that's what you're actually getting. And so that's at $12.99. So we have $12.99 a month times how many units? 146 equals 189,000 a month times 12 months is 2,275,000. Okay. Now you're going to have some vacancy there because that happens because people move in and out. You don't typically have every unit rented at the whole time. So some people will use anywhere from, typically they'll talk about 5% vacancy, but that's pretty inaccurate. Usually it's higher than that. Again, you got turnaround where, somebody moves out and you need a week or two for somebody else to move in, or, places are sitting empty. So usually I'll plug in about 9%. So we're going to take this 9% vacancy. So that means the occupancy is going to be 91%. So out of that overall rent, we're going to take 91% of that. And that gives us an income of 2 million. Basically, we'll call it 2 million. All right. All right. So we got an income of 2 million. The expenses are usually about 55-ish%, anywhere from 50 to 60. And you're like, how do I know that? Because that's what I was told.
And we've looked at a crap ton of deals.
Yeah. And so the expense is usually about 55%, depending on where you live in Texas. That's all your taxes and all your, payroll and maintenance and insurance. So we got a $2 million deal and we're going to have, 1.1 million in expenses. Actually 1.139, but that's what my calculator says. All right. So you take your income you subtract your expenses, and that gives you what, Matt?
It gives you your net operating income,
Right.
which
Right
is also
on.
called NOI.
And that's
So
the very important number.
that's remember that, people, because you're going to utilize the NOI when you're analyzing every property that you look at.
Yeah, it's kind of the key metric that everybody uses. And so our NOI, our guesstimated NOI is $861,000.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Everybody got that? So we got $861,000. And if you divide that by the cap rate, you get a value.
Which
So-
we're going to divide by what? We're going to call it 6.
I'm gonna go 625.
Cap rate you can
And-
find on the property. You can find it for the given time period that we're in, and you can utilize that.
It's not listed really anywhere. I mean, it's not like I mean, it's kind of a generalized number that's been used that gives you the value of things that have sold in the past. So cap rates vary depending on the market, and cap rates were a lot different 2 years ago than they are now, because things were selling at a higher price 2 years ago. Now, because interest rates are so high, and you cannot afford to spend as much money on a property. So the value of properties are going down because people are like, I ain't buying it for that other much because I can't make a cash flow. Right. So the value is going down, which changes the cap rate. At our 625 cap rate, this is probably 665. I mean, it is a 69
Close.
built in 69. I mean,
Yep.
if this was, 20 or 30 years old as opposed to 50, cap rate's probably more like 6 as opposed to 625. But this gives us a value of 13.776 million. All right. So that's our value based on our rough NOI, and based on the loan terms. What did we say the property value was? Remember, Matt?
Wasn't it right at 13?
Nope. That was the loan amount, which means the property value. Their loan amount was 13 million on this term sheet.
Yeah. Then what was it? 14 something.
So if then the LTV was 75. No, you're way off, Matt.
I don't remember.
Obviously. So the value was 17.5 to 18 million, according to this term sheet, would be kind of what they're asking for, right?
But yeah,
And we get our NOI, we get our back of the napkin at 13.7 million, and they're wanting 17.5.
we got a discrepancy.
We got a discrepancy of a lot.
Houston, we've got a problem.
A lot.
Yeah, big. So what this tells you is obviously this is maybe something that I would look at and go way off, not really interested.
Right. Yeah.
But if
I
I
would
knew the
agree.
property and I knew the area, I might wonder, why is this so off? What has been done to this property? And then you can dig into it even further and see what the occupancy. I mean, there might be value in that. I don't know. One of the things we've learned is that, not always are we looking for the cheapest property. The price sometimes is going to be a little bit elevated and still worth going after. So you've got to weigh those things up and down. But the back of the napkin test is just really quick, down and dirty. You have an idea of what it is. They have an idea of what they're valuing it at. And now we have a discrepancy. So, it's just like anything that you purchase. You go out to buy a car and you're willing to spend, 25,000 on a used car and they want 45,000. Everybody values their stuff more than it probably is valued in the public eye. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's it, people. That's the back of the napkin.
Yep.
That's
So
pretty easy peasy.
they're simple. And if you're within 10, 15, maybe even 20%, then maybe then that's something to look at. I mean, this again, even at 6% cap rate, which I think is a little aggressive, is 14.3. You're still off $3.5 million on it. Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
Yep,
And so
that is a lot. Hey, so before we close out, we did get another question that came into me. I'll
roll
read
with
to
it, bro.
Yeah, let's do this. So Hey Matt, love what you and Blaine are doing. Love the information. Just out of curiosity, why would I get involved into multifamily real estate over single family homes? That's a legit question, right?
That is a legit
Because
question.
I think one of the first things that people get involved in when they jump into investing into real estate in particular is they think, wow, I'm going to start flipping houses. So buy a house, flip it, get some reward, buy
Sell
two
it, rent
houses,
it.
flip it, or rent it, whichever. Here's the number. Let me answer. I'll answer this, and then you give your take. But I'm going to tell you the main reason why I would get involved in multifamily over single family homes. I have two reasons, but the main one is scaling. Scaling is my number one. It is very difficult to scale single family housing as opposed to multiple apartments in different complexes. So imagine I'm involved in about 15 or 1600 doors, 1600 apartments in the investments that I'm in Texas currently. That doesn't mean that I own all of them. It means I'm a part owner in these currently 1600 doors. If I were to be a single family flipper, I might own 25 houses. So there's a big difference in money coming from 1500 versus 25. And granted, the 25 is maybe a little bit elevated in comparison to the single door, but the only way to scale that in true form is to use multifamily. There's really, to me, it seems to be the safest way and the most productive way to move your money faster to scale it. The other one I'm going to think you're going to say. So, what would be your answer to that besides scaling?
Economies of scale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we just went over that. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
You-
that's totally the big one. It's just the amount of work going into it is a lot more if you're doing single family homes. And you can, I mean, there's a lot of people that do really well with the amount with that. And you know, we've talked to some of them. We had Javi on here, and he's got 8 or 9 houses that he
Yep.
rehabbed, and he's renting them out. And so that's a start. But you know, there's general maintenance that's got to go on with those. He's got to rehab some more to continue the process. And so it's just a slower process. I mean, there's some advantages and some tax advantages to both.
Yeah.
But
I got some patients and friends that are doing single families. They rent them out in college towns, and they're killing it.
yeah,
But here's the thing: until you get to the point where you have the ability to bring in a management group, guess one of the other downfalls is you are the maintenance man or slash woman. And let me tell
yeah,
you something: I don't have time nor the desire to go in there and fix a toilet.
yep. Or you're
Or,
hiring somebody to do
or you
part-time
have to
work,
hire.
and you hire somebody to do part-time work. It's a lot more expensive than if
Yes.
you have 100 units and you got one full-time guy working there the whole time.
Correct. If you've got multiple units and you got a management group or a maintenance guy that's going around and doing this stuff for you, then awesome. That might be profitable for you. If not, then the first question I have is who's going to do that stuff? Because it seems easy. We're just going to flip and we're going to do these things. But I mean, what's your availability and what's your skill level? So those are questions and things that come to mind right away. And I think the economies of scale is the biggest one, but I think the other is I ain't no maintenance guy. So
Right? No kidding.
I'm not getting a call at 11:30 at night because the AC went out and it's
I mean,
100 degrees.
every time I go to your house, you have me fix stuff crap because it's broken. I'm like, okay. Because
Yeah,
Matt is not a maintenance guy.
no.
Not at all.
I have my brother-in-law Mark, and Mark does a lot. Of
Mark
stuff.
does a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I think I put him on payroll this year. I think I'm not sure.
But he couldn't fix the heater to the hot tub though. We had to have some professionals do that when we
We
were out
did.
there.
But I made that happen
That happened. That was
to the
awesome.
tune of what was that? $6,500.
Yeah, it's just a new heater. No worries.
Just to entertain your friends for 2 days. Isn't that great? That's called love, people. Love.
Yeah.
So, hey, great information, good stuff, down and dirty, quick.
Right on.
Hey, keep listening, keep sharing. This is the fastest growing multifamily real estate podcast in the country right now. And we are blessed and thankful, and share it with your friends. Give us a watch, send us your questions, and let's keep this happy trails thing going, or else Blaine and I are really going to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, let's make these trails happy, guys.
You got it.
All right.
Happy trails. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a